We've asked BBB accredited charities to tell us how they're supporting the relief effort in Ukraine.
At the International Rescue Committee, we help people affected by humanitarian crises to survive, recover, and rebuild their lives. We help refugees, displaced people, and asylum seekers not only with their immediate needs, such as shelter and safety when fleeing a crisis, but also we strive to deliver long term impact through healthcare, education, economic programming, and helping individuals in becoming self reliant again. We also approach all aspects of our programming with a focus on the unique needs of women and girls. We're at work in over 40 countries worldwide, and we have resettlement offices across the United States and Europe. Since February, we've been on the ground in Poland working closely with partners to help those fleeing the conflict. In Ukraine, we're working with local partners across the country to provide emergency assistance to internally displaced people. So far, we've supported evacuation efforts for women and children, provided critical information services about registration for displaced people, housing, employment, and refugee rights, as well as psychosocial care through a dedicated hotline. We've also been able to provide material support, including access to essentials such as groceries, blankets, warm clothes, electrical appliances, and stoves, where gas and electricity has been destroyed. In Poland, we're working with partners to produce and provide specialised services to refugees, including psychosocial support, cultural assistance, and translation services. A dedicated hotline service also provides legal assistance and support for women. Material assistance has included medical equipment for the teams operating at refugee reception centres and border crossings as well along the Poland-Ukrainian border. Our short-term hopes are for there to be an immediate ceasefire, which as an organisation we've called for in order to avoid further human suffering. We also call on all parties to protect the civilians and to end the conflict, especially for refugees and displaced people. It's critical for humanitarian access to continue to be guaranteed. In the longer term, we hope that the international community and the countries that are accepting refugees and the displaced people from this crisis continue to take a stance of welcoming refugees. This includes the international community scaling up funding for services to support refugees and asylum seekers should they remain unable to return home. As the world continues to have its attention fixed on Ukraine, it is crucial for our supporters and audiences to understand that fleeing the border is not the end of a refugee's journey, but often just the beginning. Their lives have been completely uprooted, and for this, many could call for long-term displacement. Many have to answer questions such as, how am I going to find employment and provide for my family? How can I provide an education for my children in this new community? What are my rights? We must ensure that our response to this emergency is not just short-term, but also a sustainable and long-term response that addresses these issues and provides a pathway for refugees to rebuild and take control of their lives again. As we continue with our emergency response to Ukraine, we also want to bring awareness to other ongoing crises around the world, and to ensure that refugees affected by them are not neglected. The global outpouring of support for people fleeing Ukraine is right and it's justified, but simultaneously the IRC is calling for equal empathy to be shown for refugees and displaced people who are coming from places like Afghanistan, Ethiopia, Syria, the DRC, and Yemen.
For more information and tips on wise giving, find us on give.org.